Welcome back. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell. We cover every major hypercar and supercar story the moment it breaks. Here's the brutal truth about concept cars. For everyone that makes it to a showroom, 100 are killed by accountants, engineers, regulations, or simply a boardroom that loses its nerve. The journey from show stand to production line is brutal. Safety testing, crash regulations, supply chains, factory tooling. By the time all of that is done, most concepts are unrecognizable or gone entirely. So when a concept survives that process with its design, its soul, and its promise intact, that's not just impressive, that's rare. These 10 cars beat the odds. A few of them beat them spectacularly. Let's count them down and stay until the end, because number 1 will genuinely surprise you. Number 10. Ford Bronco. 2004. Ford shows a rugged, boxy, short wheelbase off-roader concept. Round headlights, removable doors. Unashamedly American. The crowd loves it. Then Ford makes everyone wait 16 years. When the Bronco finally arrived in 2021, after a 25-year nameplate hiatus, Ford hadn't softened it. The boxy silhouette stayed. The removable doors stayed. The off-road DNA stayed. Customers responded by placing over 200,000 orders in the first year, a waiting list stretching years deep. The lesson? Sometimes patience and trust in the original idea is the whole strategy. Number 9. The Volkswagen New Beetle. Detroit. VW shows a round, friendly coupe concept and buries a flower vase in the dashboard. The press calls it charming and completely unbuildable. 4 years later, the new Beetle arrives in showrooms. Number 8. Jaguar F-Type. 2011, Frankfurt. The CX-16 concept, a taut 2-seat sports car with wheels in the corners, a long bonnet, and nothing unnecessary anywhere on the body. Jaguar at its purest. 2 years later, the production F-Type arrived, and Jaguar barely touched it. The oval grille stayed, the vents ahead of the front wheels stayed, the proportions that made the concept so arresting stayed. The F-Type went on to become the most critically praised sports car Jaguar had built in a generation. It won awards, it sold, and it sounded, with the right exhaust option, like something from another era entirely. Number 7 is a design so perfectly right that it defined a brand's entire visual identity for 25 years straight. Number 7, the Audi TT Frankfurt, 1995. A coupe built entirely on Bauhaus principles, round, compact, geometric. No sharp edges, no aggression. Just form following functions so precisely that everyone who saw it assumed it was too pure to ever be built. Audi built it anyway. 3 years later, the production TT arrived wearing almost the same body as the concept that inspired it. It became one of the most recognizable silhouettes of the era, a design icon that sold for over 20 years across 3 generations. And it launched the design language that every Audi made for the next 15 years was measured against. Some concepts are ahead of their time. The TT was right on time and proved it every day for 2 decades. Number 6 convinced the entire industry that a 3-cylinder engine belonged in a supercar and somehow pulled it off. Number 6. BMW i8. Frankfurt, 2009. BMW shows a hybrid sports car concept with scissor doors, a carbon fiber chassis, and a turbocharged 3-cylinder engine paired with an electric motor. The press calls it visionary and completely impractical. BMW launched it in 2014, looking essentially identical to the concept. Scissor doors, carbon structure, futuristic proportions intact. It was described as the production car that looked most like a concept car of any vehicle ever commercially sold. The powertrain worked too. 357 horsepower, 60 miles per hour in 4.4 seconds, and fuel economy that embarrassed cars with a fraction of its performance. Number 5. Porsche Boxster. Detroit, 1993. Porsche is in genuine financial trouble. The 911 alone can't sustain the company. So they show a concept, a mid-engine roadster, smaller and more affordable, designed to open the brand to a new generation of buyers. The crowd response is immediate. Porsche listens. 4 years later, the production Boxster arrives. Not compromised, not softened. The concept, engineered, and sold. What happened next is automotive legend. The Boxster stabilized Porsche's finances. It funded the Cayenne, the Panamera. The revenues it generated helped Porsche eventually acquire a stake in Volkswagen Group. One of the most remarkable corporate transformations in business history. One concept car faithfully executed, a company saved, a brand transformed into what it is today. Number 4. Mazda MX-5 Miata. 1989 Chicago Auto Show. Mazda shows a lightweight two-seat roadster built around a single idea. Driving should be fun. No compromise, no practical concession, just a car. By 1989, the automotive world had largely forgotten that idea. Emissions, safety, market research, everything was conspiring to make cars bigger, heavier, more serious. The Miata concept was a direct rejection of every one of those trends. The production car that arrived in 1990 was essentially the concept with working headlights. Mazda had been so certain of the design that the show car was already near production ready. It sold over 35,000 units in its first full year, then kept selling and kept selling. Today, the MX-5 is the best-selling two-seat roadster in automotive history. Over 1 million units, 4 generations, and every single one traces back to that 1989 Chicago concept that said driving should simply be fun. Number 3. Audi R8. In 2003, Audi shows the Le Mans Quattro, a mid-engine supercar born from 3 consecutive Le Mans victories. Transparent engine cover, iconic side blades flanking the rear wheels, proportions that looked nothing like anything Audi had ever built. Then Audi's engineers did something extraordinary. They looked at that concept and said, build it. Exactly like that. The 2007 R8 arrived wearing the glass engine cover, the side blades, and the same fundamental character as the concept that caused so much excitement 4 years earlier. It beat Ferraris in comparison tests. It proved Audi, a brand defined by precision and refinement, could build a car that was genuinely thrilling. And it did it while being, by supercar standards, completely usable every day. People drove R8S to work, not as a stunt, because they could. Nearly 2 decades of production, a design that still turns heads, and a concept that Audi's engineers simply refused to dilute. Number 2 made a promise at a motor show that everyone assumed was impossible, and then kept every single word of it. Number 2, Porsche 918 Spider, Geneva 2010. Porsche shows a hybrid hypercar concept, naturally aspirated V8, 4 electric motors, 887 combined horsepower, emissions lower than a Toyota Prius, and a projected Nürburgring lap time that would put it ahead of purpose-built racing cars. The automotive world wanted to believe it. They'd been burned by concept promises before. Then Porsche delivered on every single word. The production 918 arrived in 2013 with the V8, the electric motors, the 887 horsepower, and the efficiency figures, all exactly as promised. And on a September morning in 2014, a 918 fitted with the vase package circled the Nürburgring in 6 minutes 57 seconds. 6 minutes 57. In a road-legal car you could drive to the school run on Monday morning. Only 918 were made, one for each horsepower, priced at over €1 million, all sold before the public reveal. Values have risen dramatically since, because collectors recognized immediately what they were looking at. Not just a great hypercar, not just a faithful concept execution. The 918 is the definitive proof that a concept doesn't have to be a dream. Sometimes it's a blueprint. Number 1. The Chevrolet Corvette, the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, New York City. GM designer Harley Earl puts a low, 2-seat, fiberglass-bodied sports car on display as part of a traveling exhibition. Nobody has ever used fiberglass for a production car. The concept looks stunning. The assumption is universal. It will never be built. Within months, GM approves it for production. By June 1953, the first Corvette rolls off the line in Flint, Michigan. Hand-built. 6-cylinder engine, slower than a family saloon. Imperfect in almost every measurable way. But it existed, and that was everything. Because from that imperfect beginning grew one of the greatest performance car lineages in history. 7 generations, over 70 years of unbroken production. The Corvette became America's sports car, the benchmark every domestic performance vehicle was measured against, and the car that proved the United States could build something that belonged in the same conversation as Ferrari and Porsche. The C8 generation, revealed in 2019, finally moved the engine to the middle, something enthusiasts had wanted for 60 years. Under $70,000, sub 3 seconds 0 to 60, mid-engine layout that makes rivals costing 3 times as much nervous. Motor Trend Car of the Year, lap records, sales figures that surpassed every previous generation, 70 years of continuous production, 7 generations of engineers, designers, and executives who each looked at Harley Earl's 1952 sketch and decided it was worth protecting. The greatest concept-to-production story ever told. 10 concepts. 10 stories of people who refuse to let a great idea die. Which one surprised you most? And which concept car do you wish had made it to production? Drop it in the comments right now, and if you enjoyed this, the next video is on screen. We'll see you there.